What is going on, guys? Welcome back to another Sun and Moon Wi-Fi battle. Today I've got another OU match using the same team as I was in the last video. This is a battle against my good friend Chad. His link will be in the description. He also uploads Pokemon content, so you should check that out after this battle. But I am going to tell you guys right now that this is actually a very long battle. I think it was something over 40 turns, but we've played each other a lot in the past, so we kind of know each other's playstyles and stuff, so it's kind of it's a more of an interesting battle. We do a lot of switching, a lot of weird shit happens, but basically looking at my man's team preview, I am afraid of the Heatran. He's got Mega Alakazam I'm expecting, along with the Nidoking, honestly a threat, the Bulu's a threat. This man's got a fucking Ash Greninja. So honestly, overall, a pretty scary team, although I'm pretty confident in my team. I honestly feel like this is a relatively good matchup. We have a lot of counters for each other's mons. That's why there is so much switching. But honestly, let's go ahead and just jump right into it. So I decided to lead off with my Cradilly. I wasn't really sure what he was going to want to toss out there, so I throw out the old Cradildo and just kind of see what happens. So he ends up leading off with his Tapu Bulu, which is kind of bad. I know that these things can carry superpower, so I wasn't really sure what to expect. Chad honestly talks about defensive Tapu Bulu quite often, so I actually from the start expected this to be a defensive Bulu, plus looking at his team comp. So he actually just decides to switch directly into the Nidoking, as I decided to switch into my Entei because I wanted to get something out against the Bulu, but he actually ended up switching, so we both double switched. And at this point, I don't really like this matchup. I don't want to take an Earth Power, so I gotta get my big legendary ass up out of there, and I decide to switch into my Conkeldurr, which is Assault Vest and ready to take on the Nidoking, but he ends up switching again, and he ends up going into the Heatran. So we're just switching up a damn storm here. I don't know why this battle started off like this. We literally have like 6 switches from the beginning, but he decides that obviously he doesn't want his Heatran to take a fighting move. I predict him to switch, and I go for the knockoff as he brings out Carlton, who's just jamming over there, just grooving out. As we got kind of like similar pink shit, although mine are like veins, they're kind of gross, I don't know. But after being intimidated, honestly, Conkeldurr doesn't have much to do to Carlton over here, so I decide to switch into my defense wall, which is the Quagsire. And one thing I kind of just realized, it's kind of funny how he has the Grassy Surge up, and Quagsire like comes out, and you would think he would like die because he's just 4 times weak to grass, but nope, I just get healed from it. So that's pretty legit. So leftovers plus the Grassy Surge looking pretty nice out here, as this Hitmontop really doesn't have a whole lot to do to me, and I am going to expect him to switch out here, so I go for the Toxic, kind of expecting the Bulu to come out, obviously grass type, just be able to destroy Quagsire, so I go for the Toxic, but this man makes a nice play, and he's going to come in with the Alakazam, which does have the Magic Guard ability, so the Poison is not going to be able to do anything to this guy, so that's kind of unfortunate. And at this point, there's been so much damn switching, I'm like, alright Quagmire, let's just stay in here, and let's just try to get some damage. So I'm going to go for the Earthquake, as he actually stays in. He doesn't want to Mega Evolve yet, I'm assuming, because he doesn't want to take poison damage, as I just stay in and go for an Earthquake. I'm able to take the Psychic relatively nicely, and the EQ is going to bring this thing down to a relatively manageable amount of health. So after the leftovers, I'm put at 69 HP, which is hilarious, giggity, as I don't want to take another Psychic, obviously, so I'm going to have to switch into my special wall, which is the Cradilly. So he goes for the Psychic. I know that Alakazams generally do carry Focus Blast, but at this health, I should be able to take at least one of them, plus he's not Mega yet. So we're looking not too bad with this matchup, although my only attacking move is Giga Drain, so I wouldn't be able to take out the Alakazam at that health, so I decided to actually just go for the Stealth Rock. I figured that would be relatively useful with all the damn switching going on. I know he does have that Hitmontop, and it actually does kind of come back to bite me. I probably should not have gone for the Stealth Rock there, but there's not really much else I could have done. So I'm sitting here and I realize I can't take a Focus Blast or even a Psychic for that matter, so I do have to switch out, and I decide to go into Entei because I know I can take in at least one attack from this thing and then be able to fire off an Extreme Speed in return to be able to finish this thing off. So he actually ended up going for the Encore. Doesn't really matter, as he's now going to go right back into freaking Carlton, who I really should have gone for the Sacred Fire, considering the Hitmontop came out, but honestly, I went for Stone Edge expecting the Heatran to come out, trying to get the Flash Fire. So I had to really play carefully with Entei this match, because whenever there's a Flash Fire Pokemon, especially Heatran, that thing can come in on a fire move, get some Flash Fire, and then it can destroy me. So unfortunately, the Stone Edge isn't going to do anything to the Hitmontop, and that allows him to go ahead and Rapid Spin the rocks away. I probably honestly should have predicted that, having just set up the Stealth Rock. The Hitmontop switch in was kind of obvious, but I decided to play a little bit more risky, trying to catch the Heatran with a Stone Edge. So, doesn't happen, and at this point, I'm just going to go into Quagmire as he brings in the Heatran, and this is a decent matchup for me, and plus I realize I need to get some damn health back. So, I'm going to go for a Recover as he ends up switching back into the Bulu. So, obviously, I'm allergic as fuck to this thing. He brings out the Grassy Surge. I'm like, oh, I hate springtime. My sinuses are all fucked up. I'm just 4 times weak to grass. This is just terrible. So, I get a Recover combined with the Grassy Surge and the leftovers. That's actually going to put me at full, and Quagsire is looking very useful against this man's team, other than the Tapu Bulu. If I can take care of this, I shouldn't really have too big of a problem. So here I decide to make a play and switch into my Conkeldurr. So he's actually going to end up going for the Leech Seed, which basically confirms that this thing is a defensive asshole. So I get nice and seeded. He's going to take some health back. This thing has built-in leftovers. It's got Leech Seed. It's ridiculous. But I do have Poison Jab on my Conkeldurr, so he goes for one Horn Leech. Luckily, he is faster than me, and I was like, okay, this is perfect. A Poison Jab should be able to take this thing out. It's 4 times effective, but unfortunately, defensive Bulu is way too damn defensive, and he lives it. And then look at this. After the Grassy Surge and the leftovers and the Leech Seed, this thing is going to be at a pretty solid amount of health, and that is pretty damn annoying. And this was actually where I was looking at his team, and I realized how important Conkeldurr is for me to keep around. So I'm at a little bit under half, and I do have Drain Punch, so I do have the ability to come back and get this thing a little bit more healthy later. So I decided to save that dude, and I'm just going to switch into my Vikavolt, basically because it's a free switch in here. This thing probably doesn't really have much that it can hit me with. So he goes for a Horn Leech, he's going to steal some health, and then he's going to get some stupid Grassy Surge, and then he's going to get some leftovers, and then just a second ago this thing was like hanging on by a damn thread, and now he's like back to full, which is shitty. So I'm actually just going to go for the Bug Buzz here. The reason for that is because I expected to switch into the Nidoking, trying to block the electric attack. I really should have gone for the Volt Switch there, as he brings in Booty Muncher, and unfortunately that's going to do more to me in the Life Orb recoil than it did to him in damage. Plus he's touching the ground, so he gets some Grassy Surge, unlike Vikavolt, who is flying, so I'm unable to actually capitalize on that. And yeah, so at this point, I don't want Slow Jet taking an attack from this thing. I really have no business staying in here, so I am kind of forced to switch into my Quagsire, and he's actually just going to go for the Flash Cannon, just basically because it's neutral. But I know there wasn't any attacks that this thing could go for that would be a 2-hit KO. Even with a critical hit, doesn't do a whole lot to me, as he's going to be put back to full there. So it's kind of sketchy having Quagsire in here, considering obviously he does have Tapu Bulu, which is pretty annoying. So here, I actually expect him to switch into the Bulu, so I'm going to switch into my Conkeldurr to be able to finish it off with another Poison Jab, as he unfortunately, for him, switches it into the Greninja, which is actually kind of perfect for me, because this thing doesn't really have any moves that can kill me, and plus this allows me a chance to go ahead and get a nice little Drain Punch, as I can heal up some health. So he switches into Carlton. He is going to get the Intimidate, unfortunately, so I go for the Drain Punch. Though it's not the worst of news. Obviously it isn't going to do very much to this thing, but it is going to get me a little bit more health back, and that's making me more and more useful against the Tapu Bulu. So I do want to save Conkeldurr because, yeah, like I said before, this thing is really useful, and now I'm going to expect like a close combat or something, and I'm just going to switch into Slow Jet. I don't really take any damage from that, 4 times resisted as fuck. It is going to put me at 69 HP. It seems like that's like a recurring theme in this battle, which is kind of funny. But from what I learned before, he doesn't want to switch into the Nidoking against my Vikavolt, so here I feel pretty safe about going for the Volt Switch, as I do get the prediction correct, and he's going to go into the Heatran. So the Volt Switch is going to do a decent amount to that thing, as this allows me to bring in whatever I want, and that allows me to bring back in Conkeldurr, which is pretty much just kind of coming in here to try to eat some more health, honestly. I need to get some more Drain Punches in, because this thing is looking really damn awesome against his team. So he has to switch out Booty Muncher, and he's just going to go right back into Carlton, which obviously he's going to come in, scare me with the Intimidate. I don't know how the hell Hitmontop gets Intimidate. He's not even intimidating, honestly. He's kind of funny in his little pink outfit. But I go for the Drain Punch. It's going to do a decent amount, and that's going to put me in the green above half. So I'm sitting in a pretty solid spot with my Cinder Block mofo, so I don't want to take a physical attack, and I decide to just go directly into Slow Jet yet again, as he actually ends up going for the Toxic and misses, which is kind of nice for me, although he's just able to go for a close combat. It isn't going to quite kill me, but it's going to knock me to the range where my Life Orb will actually take me out. So he lowers his defenses, and I just end up going for the Bug Buzz. It is going to end up killing Carlton, so I don't have to worry about Intimidate or Rapid Spin or any of that shenanigans anymore, so that's kind of cool. Although, obviously, I am going to go down to my Life Orb. So we've got an empty battlefield here, and I decide to go into my Cradilly, as he ends up going into the Serial Killer yet again. This thing comes out here ready to eat some damn cereal, as Cradilly, unfortunately, just does not have enough health to be able to take a Psychic from this thing. Was kind of hoping for minimum damage or Cradilly to just come out and bust out a Miracle, but unfortunately, that is going to kill me, and I'm not going to be able to get up my Stealth Rock, so that kind of sucks. But the good news about this is I can bring in whatever the hell I want against his Alakazam, so I decided to bring in Entei, as he actually ends up staying in here. Here, I decided to go for the Heatran prediction again. I was like, eventually this man's got to switch in to freaking Heatran, trying to predict the Flash Fire. So he has seen me go for the Stone Edge earlier on, so I guess that's the reason why he decided to stay in here. So he Mega Evolves, and he's going to trace my my pressure. Obviously doesn't really matter. He's going to hit me with a Psychic, which I am able to live, and luckily I am able to hit a Stone Edge as well, which is going to take out the Alakazam. So away goes the Mega, and that's a pretty big threat out of the way, which is pretty nice. So now he's going to bring out Greninja. This thing is kind of scary, obviously, because it does have priority water move and stuff like that. So I decided to switch into Conkeldurr. I was doing the damage calcs, and there's really not anything that this thing could go for to be able to take me out of this health. So he actually gets a critical hit on the third attack, which really doesn't really matter at this point, because this is going to allow me to get a Drain Punch, and he doesn't have the Hitmontop to be able to come in and scare me. And yeah, so I'm going to go for the Drain Punch, as he's just going to switch into Kaiser, which is his Shiny Nidoking, and I'm going to punch this thing right in the face, as that is perfect because it does about half, and that's going to, with a critical hit at least, and that's going to put me above half as well with my own health. So that's pretty awesome. Got a nice little lucky crit there, but yeah, so I don't want Conkeldurr to take any unneeded damage, plus I wasn't going to be able to finish that thing off with one more Drain Punch anyway, so I decided to switch into Quagsire here, as he's just going to go for a Sludge Wave, and after the leftovers, it's looking like I have a chance to potentially be able to live something if he gets a lucky, an unlucky roll. At least it would be lucky for me, but he goes for an Earth Power, and that's going to take out Quagmire, which I wasn't really expecting him to live anything. Honestly, I just needed to be able to bring this thing out, which is my Alakazam. So this is a Focus Sash Alakazam. This whole battle, I think he thought it was a Mega Alakazam, but that's why I like to bring this thing, honestly. So here I go for the Psychic, as he's going to bring out the Heatran. So I wasn't really too worried about this thing coming out, because I've got Focus Blast, and really it shouldn't be too big of a problem, because he's in killable range here. So I go for a Focus Blast, and I miss, which is, you know, really not too big of a deal. You kind of expect that, because Focus Miss is Focus Miss and shit. So I know I can take, obviously, any attack from this thing, even a crit. I was Focus Sash. So here I'm like, fuck it, I'm gonna try again. So I go for the Focus Blast, and I miss again, which is terrible. I haven't missed 2 Focus Blasts in a row in a long-ass time, at least in a situation where they were that crucial. So that was a pretty damn big deal. I think that was a determining factor in how this battle actually ended. So missing 2 Focus Blasts there was really bad, but I've got to try to be able to come up with something here. So I bring out Conkeldurr, and I'm just going to go for another Drain Punch, obviously, as he's going to go into the Nidoking. And it's looking like I actually got a little bit screwed here on this damage. Judging by how much the first one did, it looks like I got minimum damage on that second Drain Punch, which does kind of suck. So my only answer here is to go for a Mach Punch. I figure it should kill, but he lives it with like 10 HP, which is extremely unfortunate, because I needed Conkeldurr to have as much health as possible. So that allows him to hit me with a Sludge Wave, which is going to bring me to the point where I'm not going to be able to do anything else later on. So one more Mach Punch is at least going to be able to take out the Nidoking, and at this point all he really has to do is bring out the Greninja here. I go for the Mach Punch, but obviously he has higher priority because he's faster, and that's going to be able to take out Conkeldurr. And my last Pokemon is my Entei, which is not going to really be able to do much here. So after initiating the kill, he is actually going to activate the Battle Bond, which is kind of cool. Doesn't really matter at this point, but he's going to bust out some cooler looking shit, and he looks pretty badass. So Ash Greninja is now a pretty damn big threat, but the only thing I have left is my Entei, and I have to just really just go for the extreme speed and hope it kills, and just kind of, at this point, hope for crits for the rest of the match. So this Focus Miss has really kind of fucked me, but honestly, that's kind of the way it goes. When you're using Focus Blast, you got to expect to miss, but 2 times in a row, Game Freak, come on now. I feel like RNGesus was just not happy with me in this match. But that's going to be the end of this battle, guys. Hopefully you enjoyed. That was a really long one, but honestly, it's always fun to battle Chad. We always end up having some really good matches. Our playstyle is definitely are really fun to kind of just watch go against each other. So, yeah, like I said, thank you guys for watching. Hit that like button if you enjoyed, and don't forget to subscribe for some more Wi-Fi battles. Peace out.